And away we go. It is the aftermath, the post-game show, another therapy session, unfortunately. Right here on BearcatJournal.com, brought to you as always by our good friends at Mio's Pizza. Anytime you're in and around campus, make sure you stop by, see our good friends at Mio's, get some great food, great pizza. Love the steak hoagies, love the potato wedges, and the pretzel bites are awesome too. But just a great menu at Mio's. Cold drinks, you name it, they've got it behind the bar. And of course, ice cold Cincy Light on tap. Make sure you stop by and see our good friends at Mio's, maybe pregame next Saturday as the Bearcats take on Kansas. But stop in and say hello. Tell them Bearcat Journal sent you. All right, let's get this show on the road, Aaron. It was a rough one. Cincinnati falls 72-67. They start 0-2 in Big 12 play. Got down big, down 19 with about 14 minutes left. They get all the way back to tie it up and can't get across the finish line. Arizona outscores them 8-3 in the final minute, largely at the free throw line. And unfortunately, it's a Bearcats team that is now 0-2 in Big 12 play. They are going to have to dig themselves out of a hole. It doesn't get any easier. Traveling to Baylor, who got boat raced today. There was no comeback in Ames, Iowa, as Iowa State just smacked Baylor around. And the Bearcats have a tall task ahead of them to get that first W in the win column in Big 12 play. But we got all week to get to, we got until Tuesday to get there, as long as the team makes it to Waco.
Snowmageddon.
Yeah.
Snowmageddon, yeah.
I know there's been some talks of leaving early, but I guess the charter company thinks they can get out of here on Monday. So I wish them well.
If you're gonna leave early, don't do what the Kansas City Chiefs did and miss the open window by 10 minutes before the airport closed. And now they're stranded and have no idea how they're getting to Denver. Not like anybody's playoff hopes hinge on that game or anything. No big deal.
Oh boy. All right, Aaron. It is you get to go first on these fun post-game shows. Let's have it.
I thought the team played like shit today. I thought they played like absolute shit today. Sure, you came back from a 19-point deficit, but you put yourself into a 19-point deficit. And when you had it tied, you just left the whole lane wide open for a 747 to come in on an icy runway if you needed to. The offense looked it looked less than flat today. It looked dreadful. They couldn't hit shots for most of the game. They turned the ball over at probably the most inopportune times. It just didn't seem like they had. I don't know what was going on. I'm getting to the point where I hate this free flow offense. Screen guys open for threes, screen guys open for lobs. I feel like that's all we do.
I mean,
I'm frustrated.
It's not what they do. But
that's what it looks like. I understand that.
Let's get to it.
Well, I understand this.
There's a reason for that.
40,000 foot view. I get it, but to continue to say that you're trying to scheme us open, and to say that he's just not getting, we're just not getting the looks. Do something different then. Continue to scheme
all day today. There's a couple major problems that we're dealing with, Aaron. Let's get to them, because they result in what you're seeing. One of them is there is a player that we expected to take a major leap that we all factored into this team being significantly better.
That's another thing I want to talk about today.
And it hasn't happened.
Look, I'm to the point where if you made a change at who's starting at point guard, I think I'm okay with it.
A lot of what we counted on, a lot of what worked last year, and what we counted on this year was Jizzle James being the player that he was from the mid-range. Those shots aren't falling. They are completely non-existent in his offensive repertoire right now. He has not taken the step that was necessary for this team to get to where everybody wanted this team to be. Is he playing better defense? Yes. Is he doing a better job than last year running the team, being a point guard? Yes. But he is a score-first guard that's not scoring. He's had an 0 for 11 game. Today he had a 3 for 11 game. He turned it over. Let's get the exact numbers. Turned it over 3 times. He did have 5 assists, but 3 turnovers to negate that. Only had 4 rebounds, none offensive. Didn't have a steal. 3 of 11 from the floor, 0 of 2 from 3, 1 of 2 from the free throw line, 7 points for Jizzle James. What have we talked about from the start? If this team is going to be as good as we think they can be, it cannot be with a mediocre or worse Jizzle James. He has the ball in his hands. It is on him to be the head of the snake, and he is not being the head of the snake. Does that mean I'm out on him? No. It means he needs to play better because the competition level is rising, and he is not rising with it so far.
And if that's the case, I think that Dady's giving you better minutes when he's in the game right now.
Well,
I think, look, I know that if you make a guy, if you take a guy out of a starting role, that can mess with the psyche and all of that. I get that. Just win the job back then. Like, do the things. But right now, I think Dady's giving you better minutes. And I know somebody in the chat here, somebody in the chat here said that I don't want to make sure I'm giving proper credit. Something about Jizzle. Oh, here we go. I wanted to ask you guys, do you think Jizzle is trying to force being more of the point guard by passing more? I feel like he forces some passes and should shoot the ball a lot more. I wouldn't say a lot more, but
he's not making shots. I can't say that I want him to shoot more.
He shot 11 times today. That's that. I mean, I don't know that I want him shooting more than 11 times right now.
Right. If he's making shots, absolutely. I want him to shoot as much as humanly possible.
Yep.
But he's taking tough twos. He's not making them. He's not being assertive to the rim. Like, my eyes want to pop out of my head every time I see him attack the rim, then stop, pivot, and fade away for a 4-footer. It drives me crazy. You're built like a tank. Take it to the rim, draw contact, go to the free throw line. Every time he senses trouble. And you know what teams are doing now, Aaron? They're waiting on him and they're blocking that shot.
Yeah.
Because it's on tape now.
Oh.
It's not a surprise anymore.
You don't have to block it right now. He's just not making it. He's making it.
But my point being, they're contesting. Like, they know exactly he's not going to the rim. He is not laying it up or trying to finish through contact, trying to absorb contact.
Which is what Day-Day is doing, by the way.
Yeah.
I think that Day-Day's granted, Day-Day was 4 of 12, so it wasn't like he was a savior today shooting.
Well, he doesn't do it the same way Jizzle does, but he also tries to scoop, as he's falling. They don't go at, you got to go at the rim to get contact, to draw fouls. I don't know if they're gun shy because they think they're not getting calls. I don't know if it's just in the nature of how they've always played, which is really hard to drill out of someone to not play the way that they've always played. But neither of them are teams are overplaying the perimeter. Okay. We have discussed that in terms of how they're defending CMOS, how they're defending Cincinnati's offense. And that's why it looks like, Aaron, that they're not doing anything. It's because the other team is doing they're setting up their defense to take away Cincinnati's actions, and Cincinnati is not completing the counters to those actions, right? Like, the only way you make somebody stop doing something is to shoot them out of it or finish them out of it, play them out of it, and then they have to change what they're doing that's taking you out of your offense. Cincinnati offensively, they're missing wide open threes. They're getting open rhythm looks from the guys that they want shooting. A lot of times we'll talk about a bunch of guys took shots and you didn't want to take shots. The guys that they want to take the shots are generally taking the shots. They're open and they're missing the shots.
Well, it's not as if what you're doing in the paint is scaring teams off either. You don't have to. You're
right.
7 of 17 taking layups today is horrendous. Horrendous.
6 block shots. 6 block shots.
Horrendous. So
from a team that's not a predominant like shot, that's not a team with great rim protection.
No. But I don't know. I feel like I'm the one starting to take crazy pills at this point, because I feel like I've seen the same game now for 4 or 5 games in a row, and it's just over. I don't feel like I'm seeing anything different. It's just they're hoping that it's going to start falling, and at some point you've got to start doing something that at least looks different.
I completely disagree there. They're doing different things. They're not converting them. You got it. Like, they took 16 shots at the rim, 17 shots at the rim. Well, 26 shots at the rim. They had 9 dunk attempts and 17 layups. So teams are overplaying them on the perimeter. Half of their shots were at the rim, but 7 of 17 and getting blocked 6 times. That means that they don't have to change what they're doing. You get what I'm saying? Like, they're doing what you're suggesting, but that doesn't change the defense unless you convert, unless you make them pay for how they're overplaying you. Because essentially, like Aaron,
I just feel like the only person that I'm watching currently doing anything different, and maybe it's because he's so raw that he doesn't realize that he's doing just whatever he's doing. But Dan looks to me to be the only wild card right now that's not doing things that are status quo.
Here's what I'm seeing, and this is what some of the, like, just going back and watching some select stuff. Teams are being over aggressive with Jizzle in ball screen actions and forcing him backwards. When he goes backwards, the play automatically kind of stalls out. They're overplaying CMOS when he's coming off screens. So they're doing everything they can to take those 2 away. You have 2 guys that are not offensive threats in Mitchell and Aziz. And they're saying if Dan can score 30 to beat us, then Dan scores 30 to beat us. But we'll live with Dan having 15, right? Because we're going to focus on taking CMOS away. We're going to focus on taking Jizzle away. We're not worried about these other 2. And, if Dan with his, wild, unpredictable, bucket, like, teams are living with that.
I was really hoping I'd get that impression out of you.
You know what bothered me the most today, Aaron?
Losing? That's what bothered me the most today.
I don't really care. Like, win or I don't care. Whatever. The only thing that bothers me about losing is people lose their minds in the chat over there and on the message board. That's the only thing that bothers me about losing. I asked Dylan, like, the way teams are playing Jizzle and CMOS, are you looking to be more aggressive? And he said, no, I'm just kind of letting the game come to me. No, you have to take the game to them. You have to be the aggressor. You have to be the guy that's going to make them pay for not really guarding you. Like, that's the critical part there.
It's just something's broken with this offense, and I don't know what it's going to take to fix it, but this is not this isn't even the offense I feel like we saw last year.
It's about the same, but there's a major difference. This was the offense we saw last year.
Maybe the difference is we had expectations.
Listen. This is very similar to what we saw last year. What was the problem early last year as well? Two bigs on the floor that couldn't really score. So that jammed everything up for the guards. What changed it? They took one big off the floor, put Simas at the 4, where he had a mismatch advantage. And then the offense opened up a little bit more because you had a guy that, like, when I see Simas being guarded by a 3, I see a guy that's longer, that's quicker, that can beat him to the spot, that can keep him from getting that. He doesn't need a ton of airspace, but right now he's not getting any because I think he's being guarded by a wing player that does a better job staying on his hip.
Well, that's on both sides of the floor, truthfully. I mean, because defensively, he's not where he needs to be because you have a smaller, more athletic guy on him who's able to stay on his hip. I think that's why you see stats, again, 6 shots for Simas tonight and 3 rebounds. It's rinse, wash, repeat. 3 turnovers. This is now becoming a pattern. That's what Wes likes to talk about, patterns and trends and think like. Apparently, free throw shooting though is not a pattern or a trend. It is just going to get better one day.
The past 2 games, Dylan's gotten a charge caught in the first 2 minutes. Yeah, that's because he did this to a guy twice.
Like, yeah.
That wasn't Hunter. That wasn't a bang bang. Like, oh man, that what a bad charge call. That was like, Dylan, you can't, like, that's assault in a lot of countries.
That's a stiff arm that they learned from watching Edgerrin James highlight videos.
The free throw shooting, I know everybody's freaking out about it. Look,
I'm used to it. I've watched this free throw shooting my entire life as a fan of the Bearcats.
The Dylan thing at the free throw line doesn't make any sense to me. That is a 60% free throw shooter for 2 years, a guy that gets fouled quite a bit and has gone to the line quite a bit. And all of a sudden, he just doesn't know how to shoot free throws anymore. Just, it blows my mind. If you take that out, and I know you can't, if you take out his 0 for 5, they're 12 of 18, which is acceptable. Like, it's not great, but you also had Aziz go 1 for 4 when he's been shooting free throws much better this year than he was a year ago. He took 2 of those free throws that he missed also while getting an elbow in the back of the head, which I thought should have been a flagrant 2, personally, because the guy just lined him up and gave him one of these. Like, to me, that's a flagrant 2. And he probably still had his head ringing when he went to the free throw line.
For sure.
So the Dylan thing, like, everybody else was pretty acceptable. Dan was 4 for 6. Simas was 4 for 4. Page was 2 for 2. Jizzle was 1 for 2. Like, but 1 for 9 from Aziz and Dylan is going to tank your free throw shooting. So I know everybody gets worked up. Wes said he wasn't super concerned about it. I get why he's not super concerned about it. I don't know what you do about Dylan other than, my God, they went to Hack-a-Shack.
They did. I was going to bring that up if you didn't. They literally, it was. I don't think there's anything fun that you can say with Dylan Mitchell that rhymes like Hack-a-Shack does.
I was trying to come up with something. Russ said hack a DM. I think that's stupid. I don't like that one. We got to come up with something because, why wouldn't you do it? It honestly kind of changed the momentum of the game because Dylan was playing great, especially defensively, knocking balls away, getting deflections, getting out in the open court, and getting some
fast break steals. Yeah,
that's what gave them momentum. But then they had to take him off the floor. As soon as Arizona did that, it felt like it zapped some momentum because then it became obvious, like, well, shit, they're just going to put him every time we come down the floor. They're going to foul him, and we're not even going to get the run offense.
Mitch slap. I don't know.
Yeah. Tucker, you're right on that. The bench is not outside of Day, which I think essentially they have 6 starters. That's the way they're playing right now. They're not getting really anything from anybody else at all.
Well, so which I had a question as I was watching, I wanted to ask you this. Are you to the point, because I feel like I'm almost there, where I don't know that I love putting 2 guys off the bench on the floor together seems almost risky to me at this point. Any more than 2 is terrifying.
I mean, they're going to still do it in the middle of the first half or like that second segment in the first half where they just are trying to get to the under 12 and get guys back in the game. But yeah, I mean, look, you want to really get into something that stood out to me today, Aaron? Carter Bryant, freshman forward for the Arizona Wildcats, top 30 type guy.
He's good.
14 points, 5 of 5 from the floor, 3 of 3 from 3, 1 of 2 from the free throw line, had 4 rebounds, only 1 turnover in 15 minutes. He was +9 in 15 minutes.
He was outstanding. And he
Tyler
made his free throws.
Tyler Betsy also played 15 minutes. 1 of 7 from the floor, 0 of 5 from 3.
Chucking them.
3. I don't like. He's taking wide open rhythm looks.
He did.
He has to make them.
I wasn't mad about his shot selection. Just none of them fell.
He has to make them. How different does this game feel if he makes 2? If he's 3 of 5 and has 11 points, there's a good chance Cincinnati wins the game.
Yeah, at that point you're 8 of 25. You're looking far closer to 40% than you are to 20%.
Yeah. So that one really stood out for me. Their top 30 freshmen and Cincinnati's top 40 freshmen, who are both forwards, both shooters. Arizona got 14 out of theirs. Cincinnati got 2.
Not great.
In a 5-point game.
Not great. I also don't love a game where, again, if you're going to have Tyler Betsy getting those type of minutes and taking that many shots, I don't want to see games where Tyler Betsy right now is taking more shots than CMOS. You have to figure out how to get CMOS more than 6 shots. This is the second rendition of this same rant I had on Tuesday. You can't win games where CMOS is making 6 shots, or taking 6 shots, making 2.
Mick, David, why CJ Frederick's not seeing any minutes? He's not playing well. You got to earn those minutes. Like, they don't just give them to you. It's, you don't just, hey, I know you're not performing up to the standard that we expect, but we're going to put you in the game anyway to see what happens.
This isn't the part of the season where you experiment for fun.
No, you're fighting for your life. You're 0-2 in the Big 12. You're not just throwing him out there and hoping something clicks. I know a lot of people are frustrated with Hickman. Clearly, offensively, he is not giving you anything right now. I don't think CJ is the answer at this point, but you can't play Dan, Jizzle, and Day all of the minutes at the 1 and 2. You need another 10, 12 minutes from somebody.
Connor played 8 minutes today, and you obviously couldn't read his lips as he was walking off the court with Bob. I thought he said, "It's real bad." Rachel thought he said, "It's my ankle." One or the other. Either way, I thought he looked at Bob and said, "It's real bad." So, that's what my 2-second lip read today watching the game. That was what I got. But
Yeah,
not great if it's real bad.
I know he's been in a lot of pain. I know he's been playing through it. That's why I bite my tongue when people, jump to conclusions and start shitting on kids. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know how much they're putting it on the line for their team just to be out there and try to help in any way that they can while they're hurting. But I do get it. Like, he was supposed to be able to come in and be a guy that provided an offensive spark off the bench, and it's not happening.
Yeah, I don't think anybody expected him to replicate what he averaged at Bradley here at 14 or whatever it was that he averaged.
No, nobody
Bradley.
expected that. But like 8, 9, like come in off the
Yes.
bench
Right.
and provide a little bit of, because that's what you're getting right now essentially from Day is like 7, 8, 9 points off the bench.
That's the only one you're getting it from.
But that's
right
it.
Now.
If you had
right.
if you had another guy that was giving you 7, 8, 9 off the bench, now all of a sudden you're getting 15, 17, and then you throw in 4, 6 points from Paige and another 6 points from Betsy, and you're at 30, which is where Arizona was tonight. They got 30 off of their bench. Cincinnati got 14, I think.
From the bench.
15. Yep. I was off by 1. So yeah, I mean, they're in a very frustrating spot because I think a lot of us knew this was a possibility, that if they didn't get Kansas State, you're staring down the barrel of and they didn't get Kansas State, and now
Well, I also think it's fair to say that everyone expected Cincinnati to make the tournament this season, and they were hoping that you make the second weekend, right? I think I've changed my expectations entirely, where I'm hoping to make the tournament. I'm not expecting to make the tournament. I don't know what to expect at this point. I don't have expectations.
Right now they're like most places have them like an 8, 9, 10 seed, which I think they should be better than that. But I don't have any issue with that being like where people are projecting them, simply because that's kind of how they played. Like they've not played as a team that should be in a home uniform in the first round of the NCAA tournament.
I don't know that they're playing in the tournament. I have not seen anything now.
That's a drastic overreaction. They still have a win over Xavier. They still have the win over Dayton. It's not like they're getting their door. They lost by 3 out on the road at Kansas State. Mm-hmm. They lost by 5 today, shooting 20% from 3 and missing 11 free throws. Like, I don't get in. I'm not in the overreaction business. I'm in the reaction business. So I try to appropriately react. I don't think it's time to push the panic button, but they're playing with fire.
I'm not in Fire West.
Missing the tournament is the panic button. Let's not being in the tournament is the panic button.
Well, you start 0-4, and I think that's where we're at.
Well, sure, we'll have that discussion if they're 0-4.
I don't know. I want to see them win. We dropped one against Kansas State that we were supposed to win. This one, I won't say necessarily against Arizona. You're at home though. You're probably supposed to win. So you're not winning the ones that you're supposed to win. I don't know that I've seen anything from this offense that you're going to win the games that you're not supposed to win. So I don't know what we're doing. That's why I just don't have expectations for this season anymore. I don't expect anything.
Okay.
Anything that happens that has to do with postseason, I suppose I'll just be happy at that point. But I'm not expecting. I don't expect them to make the tournament.
Going to be -7 against Baylor, a Baylor team that just got beat by 1,000 against Iowa State. Xavier's 9-6. They lost 3 in a row without Zach Freemantle, and they're still a top 50-ish Ken Palm team. Okay. And that's the other, like, that's the thing that's been frustrating, AJ, is they basically played 3 teams with their backs against the wall.
When
And
is our back against the wall?
Can I talk? They didn't match the intensity of those 3 teams in like desperation. And I think that is what, like, that's what I would be concerned about more than anything, is you knew these teams coming in were playing desperate. And Cincinnati just has kind of been like, no, we're good. Like, we're good. No, we'll figure it out. We get down, that's fine. We'll come back. Like, no, you've got to scrap. You can't let what happened, because if you really look at it, it was 19-18, what, 10 minutes into the game or so? 8 minutes into the game. And then Arizona dominated the end of the first half and controlled the beginning of the second half. And that's when they were up 19 with 10 minutes left.
The end of the first half made me want to throw up. I didn't even watch the free throw. I didn't even watch them review it. I knew it was a foul. Just went and into the kitchen away from the TV, yelling into the abyss.
Tom, we're not doing like that.
Tim,
let's talk about it in context, Tim. Wes said he was frustrated because they had a great couple practices leading up to this game and then did not match the intensity in practice that they had showed in the game. What else do you want a coach to say? That's being very open and honest. I thought our preparation was good. I'm upset that when we got out here on the floor, it did not look like it did in preparation. I want a coach to be honest about that. What I don't want a coach to do is say, oh, everything's fine. Like, we practiced about how we played. We weren't that great.
Like free throws are going to fix themselves.
I don't know. I just don't know what you do with Dylan. Like that's the entirety of the free throw problems this year.
I know.
It's frustrating. Like, what do you do? The guy started 1 for 17.
It's still part of the team.
Now, the one thing I do want, like, this is something that was, I think, very apparent in the second half. This is a team that needs to pressure the ball as soon as the opponent crosses half court. Why did they dominate Dayton?
Why did they wait so long to do that?
And I asked Wes. He said it wasn't something that they waited for. It was an effort thing that they just didn't do. Like, they were supposed to be doing it the first 25 minutes of the game. And they were out there, but they weren't, like, Day was all over them for the final 12 minutes of the game.
Why is she making it weird right now?
Bye. Love you.
Love you.
She's leaving. Going to a friend's house.
Okay.
But that's how they have to play constantly. Like, if they're not completely pressuring and just, that took Arizona out of their offense. Yeah. For the final 10 minutes, Arizona couldn't get into their offense at all. It
disrupted their flow. What does Arizona thrive on? They thrive on running around and slowing you down because you're gassed. Aziz was gassed I've never seen him so gassed in a game before, I don't believe, to where he just couldn't even run the floor any longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, you start doing that and you start messing with their entire flow where they could not get into the Arizona rhythm.
Well, UC did to Arizona what Arizona did to UC for the first 28 minutes, where they just never let them right. And then they cranked up the intensity, and all of a sudden Arizona fell apart for 7 minutes.
Weird.
They did it to Dayton, and it disrupted Dayton and crushed Dayton. They did it to Xavier for almost the entirety of the crosstown shootout, and it worked against Xavier. They didn't do it against Villanova. They didn't do it against Kansas State, and they did it for about 12 minutes today. That is their identity. Because what happens? That gets them revved up. They're able to get out in transition. They're able to get in the passing lanes. They're more comfortable in what they're doing in their half-court offense. Like, if anything, that was what was glaring to me, is this team's identity is ball pressure. And just to completely disrupt
Absolutely.
your opponent guards. And that sets up everything else that they want to do, like the energy that they need to play with, the ability to get up and down the floor and not, because it doesn't seem to me, Aaron, like this is a team that plays well when they're comfortable. When they're walking, not just even walking the ball up the floor, but when they're casual getting into their offense, when they're casual, like how they defend and then letting the other team get into their offensive sets. When they play like they did in the last 12 minutes, it's an entirely different looking team. And that's the team I saw against Dayton. That's the team I saw against Xavier for the most of that game.
But that's, I think, what has me, what has the fan base, what has, truthfully, Coach Wes Miller mad as hell, is the fact that they continue to play with the fucking light switch, because God forbid we play 40 minutes of actual basketball the whole time like you want to win a game. So they're playing with their food when they have no reason to be playing with their food. None of it makes sense to me.
Yeah. Right. The number one, you've got to get the guys that are capable of making threes actually making threes. Like, you've got a couple shooters on this team. This team is too good with what they have on the floor and the guys that are taking the shots to be shooting 28% from three in their, 5 high major games.
It's terrible.
It's bad. It's awful. And that's what Dan going 4 of 6 against Kansas State. Who let the dogs out? Again, my dad just took my daughter to drop her off at a friend's house. The dogs get a little yappy when people leave the house. They don't like
Dan was 4 of 8.
Or at one point he was 4 of 6 in the Kansas State game.
Yeah, I haven't pulled up still. So
yeah, I know in my brain at one point in time he had hit like 4, whatever. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
CJ Frederick needs playing time. If CJ Frederick wants playing time, he has to earn playing time. You think that CJ, they feel CJ Frederick is the better option and they're just not playing him?
I don't
that
know.
Part I don't.
I don't know who I would take minutes away to slot CJ Frederick.
I mean, I guess everybody wants Connor shot into the sun, but at least he's not making shots, but he's giving you effort and good defense. And look, I'm worried about his lower leg injury that kept him out of the Grambling game. Yeah. And if he's got to sit for a while, get back to me. We'll reconvene here and discuss if he doesn't play.
I mean, he was in a boot 2 weeks ago, so.
Yeah, he's in a boot pretty much when he's not on the basketball court. Like, he was in a boot before the K-State game.
Then what the hell was he doing trying to dunk today?
Maybe he jumped off the other foot.
I guess.
Let's go over the player stats. The chat has got me annoyed, and I'm ready to just speak up.
All right. Well, Dan leading the way, 18 points, 6 of 14 from the field, 2 of 7 from 3, 4 of 6 from the stripe, 6 rebounds, all of them offensive. He's got to find those defensive rebounds. That would probably change some things on this team.
Berg, take your bullshit and get out of here, buddy. Nobody said anything about playing harder defense.
2 assists, 3 fouls, a turnover, a block, a steal, 30 minutes played, -5 in the plus minus.
Ricky, I question your ability to post in this chat anymore.
Yikes.
How about
that? Anything to say on Dan?
Played as well as possible, I guess. I didn't like the shot he took in the final minute. No. Ugh. Yeah. I just said they're a ball pressure team. Yeah, because that's when the game turned around, when they actually applied ball pressure, forced a bunch of turnovers, and got back into the game. Did you not watch the game, Justin? AJ, I'm just messing with Justin. He's a good friend. Like, he works here. I'm just having fun with him. I'm totally.
Dylan Mitchell, 13 points, 6 of 8 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3. I do like his looks. The looks that he is taking from 3, I think, have been very selective, and I've not been upset with any of them.
He's got to make them.
0 for 5 from the free throw line, 1 offensive rebound, 6 defensive, giving him 7 on the day, 4 fouls, a turnover, 2 steals, 30 minutes played, plus 6. He was the only player on the team in the positives outside of Josh Reed's 0, because I think he played like
1 second.
Yeah,
he came in on that after the foul at the end of the first half. He came in to inbound to throw the deep ball on the inbounds pass.
I guess we'll go with Day, 9 points, 4 of 12 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, no free throws, 1 offensive, 1 defensive rebound, 2 on the day. Total, an assist, 2 fouls, 2 turnovers, a steal, 21 minutes played, -7 in the plus minus.
Arizona had 8 assists. Is that right? That is right. Cincinnati, they frustrated them offensively.
Cincinnati had more. Look, Cincinnati had more rebounds. They had, I think, 10 more offensive rebounds than Arizona.
17 offensive rebounds, 12 second chance points.
Ugh.
We're back to that. We're back to that conversation from last year. I blame Keegan's mustache.
CMOS. Did you have more on data?
No, go ahead.
CMOS 9 points, 2 of 6 from the field, 1 of 4 from the 3-point line, 4 from the stripe, 3 defensive rebounds, 3 assists, 3 turnovers, 29 minutes played, -2 for CMOS.
Yeah. The way you win with only 8 assists is when the other team only has 11. It was not a good day for the ball popping, Aaron. It's a good day for dribbling.
Jizzle, 7 points, 3 of 11 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3, 1 for 2 from the free throw line, 4 defensive rebounds, 5 assists, 4 fouls, 3 turnovers, 31 minutes played, -1 in the plus minus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got to get it going, man. Like, for this team to win Big 12 games, Jizzle James has to be better. He's got to be, on a bad day, 4 of 11 or 5 of 12 or something along those. You know what I mean? Like, it cannot be.
But more than 2 free throws in that same stat line.
He's never going to shoot a lot of the way that he plays. He's never going to shoot a lot of free throws
unless he's
never going to do it.
Unless he was actually driving to the hoop.
But Aaron's never done it. He did it all he just made the little 8-footers, 10-footers last year.
Not even making those this year.
So we didn't talk about it as much last year. But I don't know a way that, I don't know how you get that out of him, because it's just how he plays. I don't know that you can take the way that somebody has played for 15 of their 20 years and just say, don't ever do that again. I don't want him to ever do it again. I want him to finish and go to the rim and go up strong off 2 feet, draw some contact, go to the free throw line. But he is predisposed to, whenever he senses trouble, he puts that foot in the ground, turns around, and does one of these. It's a low percentage shot.
Aziz, 5 points, 2 of 3 from the field, 1 of 4 from the free throw line, a little different than what it's been. 4 offensive, 5 defensive rebounds, giving him 9 rebounds total on the day, leading all Bearcats. 3 personal fouls, a turnover, 2 blocks, 28 minutes played, and 100 hustle plays for Aziz Bandago today.
He's all over. He's all over. The thing that I like I said, like I don't really count those 2 free throws that he missed because he got elbowed in the back of the head. And then, 2 minutes later had to walk to the free throw line and shoot free throws.
Yeah.
So I thought he played as well as imagined. The only thing I don't like was, and this isn't his fault, they threw him a lob with the 7-footer standing 1 inch from him. Didn't love that. Ricky, if you know, JJ is redshirting. He's not playing this year. You're driving me nuts. Is Arizona a top 25 team? They have top 25 talent. I think they have an interesting issue that is very similar to Cincinnati's, and that I think they're starting 4 and 5. I don't know that they play well together. If you actually go in and look at their plus minus, Toby Awaka, minus 15 in 14 minutes, and then Trey Townsend minus 8 in 24 minutes. And those 2 were on the floor like when Cincinnati sparked their comeback. But they've lost. They played 5 quad 1 games and lost all 5. So, yes, they are net 21, Ryan. I would say they're probably more top 30, top 40 than they are top 25 just on results.
Then Arnson Page, 4 points, 1 of 1 from the field, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 1 offensive rebound. That was his only rebound today. 2 fouls, a steal, 9 minutes played, minus 2 in the plus minus. And then while we're at it, Tyler Betsy, 2 points, 1 of 7 from the field, 0 for 5 from the 3-point line, 3 rebounds, 2 of them defensive, 15 minutes played, minus 6. Josh Reed played a second, and Connor Hickman was 0 for 2 in his 8 minutes played for minus 3 in the plus minus.
Right. Bottom line, they lost 5 games. I'm not having them ranked. I'm not ranking them with 5 losses. They won 1 today. Good for them.
Cincinnati's also not a top 25 team if the rankings were out
right
yesterday.
Right. I wouldn't put them in my top 25 either. So, yeah. Anything else?
I'm going to just say no.
I mean, if you have other stuff, I turned the chat off. If you have other stuff, go ahead.
Well, I did want to real quick because we were in the middle of talking. We did not give Hunter his due. Thank you for the $2, Hunter, for Chad hit the Ravon and Josh Reed button. Yikes. And then he had another one way back at the very beginning when I was still putting the tweets out. He was here for the Aaron rant, and that was how I opened the show. I don't know. Like I said, my expectations have tapered. I'm frustrated. I know the fan base is frustrated. I'm not Fire West. I think that's a drastic overreaction. I want to feel like I'm watching a different product though, because like I said, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. I don't feel like I'm seeing enough of a change, or maybe it's. I know Dave kind of hinted at this on your show on Wednesday, where maybe you have to change some things up as far as being the player friendly coach and change some of that. But I think I think that does mess with some of your culture. But it's a little maddening though, just knowing that the skill level on this team is something that we have not seen in a very, very long time. And it feels, I don't want to say don't want to say.
I think you have a bad understanding of skill level.
Well, I disagree, but that's what we do here.
Can't score.
Well,
that's not skill.
They were able to.
Skill level is like being able to create and do things offensively that are skill based. There are two guys that can't do that. When's the last time you saw him throw it into Dylan or Aziz, then post a guy up and hit a baby right hook, or use a multiple pivot to get around a defender and score a layup? Or like, that's skill. Shooting is skill. Passing is skill.
They've taken away any ISO type of play. They don't do any ISO whatsoever anymore.
They score
down low. I'm saying, like,
right? They don't have we knew that coming in. We talked about that. They don't have,
and we don't want to see Aziz
back to the
basket. We don't want to see Aziz do any of that anymore. I'm totally good with that. He is doing a lot of other things in a lot of other places, and it allows him to be in some of those places.
Yeah, but just in general, like, is it a great ball handling team? It's not a great passing team. Is it a great shooting team?
They still have some shitty lobs today.
Where is the skill that you're very high on?
I don't know. When you got guys who are 4-star, 5-star guys.
That doesn't mean they have skill. That means they were rated
on their skills.
No, on their athleticism, on their size, on their length. There's a lot more than just skill that goes in. If it was just skill related, all the white kids in the Missouri Valley would be 4 stars.
Oh my God. I gotta go watch a Bengals
Those kids
game.
Are skilled.
I gotta go watch a Bengals game.
Got it. All right, that's gonna wrap it up. Everybody go watch the Bengals game. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow to look at the Big 12 results from today. Oof, interesting day in the league. A lot of blowouts. And then Monday with the BBP to get you ready for Baylor on Tuesday night. That's going to wrap it up. We'll see you next time. That's the Aftermath, presented by Mios, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!